Tulsi Maharani ki jai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Stotara Pravikacharya's Divine Grace Abhay Charana Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavadam ki jai, Shri Mayapur Dham ki jai, Shri Gangamai ki jai, Shri Jamuna Mai ki jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from the 10th canto. This is chapter 65, and we'll start on text 19 and go for a few texts until we start hearing about the pastime herein of Jamuna Devi. Varuna Prasita Devi Varuni Vriksha Kotarat Pantanti Tadvanam Sarvam Swagadena Dayan Sayat Varuna Prasita Devi Varuni Vriksha Kotarat Patanti Tadvanam Sarvam Svagadena Davasayat Varuna Prasita Devi Varuni Vriksha Kotarat Patanti Tadvanam Sarvam Svagadena Dyavasayat. Devotees? Varuna Prasita Devi Varuni Vriksha Kotarat Padanti Tatpanam Sarvam Svagadena Dyavasayat Varuna Prasita Devi Varuni Vriksha Kotarat Padati Tadvanam Sarvam Svagadena Dyavasayat Varuna Prasita Devi Varuni Vriksha Kotarat Padati Tadvanam Sarvam Svagadena Dyavasayat Varuna, by Varuna, the demigod of the ocean. Presita, sent. Devi, divine. Varuni, the Varuni liquor. Vriksha, of a tree. Kotarat, from the hollow. Patanti, flowing. Tat, that. Vanam, forest. Sarvam, entire. Swa, with its own. Gandhena, aroma. Adyavasayat, made even more fragrant. Translation. Sent by the demigod Varuna, the divine Varuni liquor flowed from a tree hollow and made the entire forest even more fragrant with its sweet aroma. Please repeat, sent by the demigod Varuna, the divine Varuni liquor flowed from a tree hollow and made the entire forest even more fragrant with its sweet aroma. Purport by the servants of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Sridhar Swami explains that Varuni is a liquor distilled from honey. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti adds that the goddess Varuni, the daughter of Varuna, is the presiding deity of that particular divine liquor. The Acharya also quotes the following statement from Sri Hamsi Vamsa. Samipam presita pitra varunena tavanaga. Here the goddess Varuni says to Lord Balaram, my father Varuna has sent me to you, O sinless one. Om Jnana Tinamandasha Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Minitamina Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prastaya Bhuttare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Itinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachadini Vishesha Sunivadi Paschita Deshatadini Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prastaya Bhuttare Srimati Via Krishna Das Goswami Itinamine Namo Hamsana Kashaya Prabhupada Priyate Sudrida Sudhi Nistyamyam I'm going to also read the purports of the Acharyas on this particular verse. And then we're going to read a little bit, maybe together, and then speak about it. So from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the goddess of liquor, Varuni, was the daughter of Varuna. She was falling forth in streams from a hole in the trunk of a kadamba tree, Vriksha Kotara. According to Harivamsa, she said to him, I have been sent before you by my father Varuna. Sridhar Swami says that Varuni is a type of liquor that arose along with the nectar of the Devas. The Varuni made the forest even more fragrant than before. Jiva Goswami states, Varuni, the presiding deity of liquor, was the daughter of Varuna. She flowed in the form of streams from the hollow of the kadamba trees of Vrindavan. The deity of liquor and the liquor are considered non-different, like rivers and their deities. In order to forbid distinguishing the difference between the two, the verse states that both were present during the pastimes. Harivamsa also describes this. Samipam presita pitra varunena tavanaga. O sinless one, Varuni was sent near you by her father Varuna. The place became even more fragrant than before because of this. And Sanatana Goswami writes, she was beyond this world, Devi, arising from the churning of the milk ocean, or the presiding deity of liquor. Because she arose from Varuna, she is called Varuni. Samipam presita pitra varunena tavanaga. O sinless one, I was sent near to you by my father Varuna, Harivamsa. She flowed in the form of streams from the hollow of the kadamba trees of Vrindavan. The place became even more fragrant, Adi Avashayat, than before because of this. Though previously the place was fragrant because of her special fragrance, the place was additionally perfumed. This is text 20. We can all read together. Tam gandam madhudaraya vayuno paritambala agrayo pagatastatra lalanabi samam papao. The wind carried to Balaram the fragrance of that flood of sweet liquor, and when he smelled it, he went to the tree. There he and his female companions drank. Jiva Goswami states, because he was very thirsty, he went there and drank the liquor. He manifested special power, bala, and forcibly made the gopis drink it. Upagaya mono gandharvar vanita shobhi mandale reme kare nuyutesho Mahendra Iva Varana. As the Gandharvas sang his glories, Lord Balaram enjoyed within the brilliant circle of young women. He appeared just like Indra's elephant, the lordly Airavata, enjoying in the company of she-elephants. Text 22. Nedurdundi bayovyomi vavrishur kushamar muda gandharva munayoramam tadviryaryadireta. At that time, the kettle drums resounded in the sky. The Gandharvas joyfully rained down flowers, and the great sages praised Lord Balaram's heroic deeds. And finally, text 23. Upagiyamana charito vanita birhalayuda vaneshu vyacharat shivo Madhaviva Lalochana. As his deeds were sung, Lord Haladyuda wandered as if inebriated among the various forests with his girlfriends. His eyes rolled from the effects of the liquor. Jiva Goswami states, he held his plow on his shoulder. The use of the plow will be cleared later. His eyes rolled because of intoxication. So yesterday, Drishta Prabhu was describing the scene. In the company of numerous women, Lord Balaram enjoyed in a garden by the Jamuna River. This garden was bathed in the rays of the full moon and caressed by breezes bearing the fragrance of night-blooming lotuses. So now this sort of completes this scene. So Lord Balaram and we've understood that he has his own gopis, and most likely these were the gopis that were too young to have danced with Krishna in his rasa dance a while ago. So these were a new special set of gopis that Balaram was enjoying with. And now we hear that he's doing this under a full moon night. The moon's actually full right now. It's right there. It's really interesting. Under a full moon night by the bank of the Jamuna. And the full moon lasted for 2 whole months by his will. And also by his hidden will. Varuni appeared in the hollows of all those kandama trees around that scene and began to flow out, releasing this incredible aroma that mingled with these night-blooming lotuses and were carried on these gentle breezes around the Jamuna. And everything was very, very beautiful and fragrant. And now with the advent of Varuni and Balaram and his friends drinking, the gopis drinking this Varuni, Balaram became quite intoxicated by the whole scene and by the Varuni liquor. And in some scriptures we've read about the effects of drinking honey wine. Most notably in the Krishna Nika Kaumudi, there's a whole chapter dedicated to that time when Krishna and his gopis drank honey wine, and then they had a dice game and, you know, a lot of fun. And the Varuni beverage was, you know, it's an intoxicant. I was reading a little bit about what it could have possibly consisted of, because a lot of times, particularly on Balaram Purnima, everybody wants to make Varuni, you know. And it's funny because there was this recent Balaram Purnima, everyone, all the persons who were making offerings that day had a little bit different idea of what Varuni was consisting of, you know. So it's kind of an elusive drink, except we know that it's intoxicating, particularly to Balaramji. And now we see him, or we can understand he's on the banks of the Jamuna. They're having a grand old time. He and his friends his gopi friends are intoxicated, enjoying so many wonderful pastimes that we are not privy to. And just was reflecting actually how that particular scene and that particular pastime of becoming intoxicated here is met with exultation and celebration from the demigods. You know, they were showering flowers. It was all very grand and beautiful, and the whole universe was celebrating this pastime, this beautiful pastime. Meanwhile, as Drista Prabhu was speaking yesterday about, you know, that perverted reflection that we go to a lake and we see what's normally a very beautiful tree flipped upside down with everything a little bit muddied or sullied in the river because of the, you know, the waves. It's not perfectly like glass. So you can see the reflection, but it's a little bit not so clear. It's a little bit fuzzy. And, you know, just reflecting how in this material world, you know, how many times is that fuzzy, intoxicant-induced pastime are playing out with the residents of this planet, you know, who want to try to imitate that. They want to try to enjoy in the same way. They want to try to emulate those very high-level pastimes, which are celebrated by the demigods in the spiritual world. And here they're tolerated, and they're also, you know, somewhat glorified, but a lot less so. And who are they glorified by? They're only glorified by those who are also inebriated or intoxicated. So we're in this state in this world where we're hearing about these beautiful, you know, impossibly, well, they're just impossible pastimes for us to understand. You know, we don't really have it's not being really elucidated in a lot of detail. You know, we understand Balaram's enjoying with his gopis. We understand they're intoxicated. He's walking around. But there's not a lot of particular details, which is very good for all of us because we shouldn't be hearing those details. We're not at the level yet to quite understand the purport or the reasoning for those things. And it seems that, you know, as practitioners in bhakti yoga, and we're understanding our adhikar, you know, how much we can actually imbibe and, you know, hold dear to ourselves as we're practicing bhakti yoga. You know, we have to figure out what our limits are to that, what we can hear and what we can't really hear, you know, based on our own proclivities or anarthas or so many things. You know, we can read these pastimes with great confidence that someday we can, you know, we'll have that ability to understand. But in the meantime, we have a long, long, long way to go. A very long way to go. You know, I had the opportunity to spend some time with a lot of, I'll say, exalted personalities in our movement this past weekend. And, you know, these are individuals that have been serving Srila Prabhupada, and some of them in very intimate roles in the past. They've been serving Srila Prabhupada for, you know, 50 years, 50. And, you know, they're coming to, and they'll, you know, everybody freely admits, they're coming to, you know, kind of the end of their own pastimes on this planet, you know, in these material bodies. And they've seen a lot, they've done a lot, they've chanted a lot, they've heard a lot. And the resounding majority, I'll say, have no problem talking about the fact that they still have a long way to go, after 50 years, because it feels like the further you go into this process and you try to understand, and you're purifying yourself. We're purifying our hearts through different sorts of devotional service, and cutting through all those layers and layers and layers of conditioning that have built up over time. It's sort of like the peeling of an onion, this huge onion, even in the fact that it makes you cry. You're peeling and peeling and peeling, and it just seems like, and I don't know if any of you have ever touched an onion or peeled an onion, in between the thick layers of the onion, there's actually all these thin membrane layers. And there's so many layers that, and by the time you get down kind of to the core, the center, you're in just complete, you can't even stop the tears. You can't stop that effect that the onion, peeling that onion has. And, in talking to a lot of these senior devotees, very senior devotees, I'll say that they're a little bit dismayed that there's a lot of persons in our movement that, they tend to take these pastimes sort of for granted. They take them a little bit cheaply, and maybe expounding on them in such ways that aren't very appropriate. And then, as bhakti practitioners, we're here, we're in good faith, we're trying to hear, we're executing the 9 processes of devotional service, and remembering and hearing about Krishna are really the 2 mains that we have on a daily basis. Some people can't do, direct devotional service or worship the deity, or, all the things that are prescribed, but to hear and to remember. And when you're hearing these sort of topics from someone who, is choosing to elucidate beyond their level of understanding or beyond their adhikar, it can be very, very detrimental to our own bhakti creeper, very damaging, and leave an indelible mark on our psyche, So, when I was hearing a lot from these, personally, I make it my business to try to seek senior association. I have the good fortune of being here in New Goloka, where there's a lot of senior association. People have been practicing many years. There's several in the room, 6, 7 in the room, and who knows where everybody else is. But we've had the good fortune of being able to associate with senior devotees, and I'll say that the majority that I had spoke with were very troubled, and they feel very apprehensive about how some of these sort of loose attitudes and hearing of topics that are above our pay grade have become very commonplace. Everyone is here to do the hard work to try to rid ourselves of anarthas, right? A couple times when I just flew, I'm always reminded by Prabhupada stressing that we have to purify ourselves first. Just like when in the airplane, if the cabin loses pressure, the mask pops down, and you have to first put the mask on yourself before even helping your child or anybody. You have to first put the mask on yourself. So the first thing, before really making any judgments about people, about pastimes, conjecture or inference about, what Krishna did, what Balaram did, how they conducted themselves. I mean, we're getting it here from the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's authorized. But going beyond, very much beyond, and, ruminating, or even trying to, within ourselves. I'm not even saying, putting it out there. That's a whole other level, but within ourselves. So, I could easily, I think many of you know that I'm a great follower of Lord Balaram, I'll say. I could easily really get into this and be like thinking about it, ruminating on it, trying to find other information. The Harivamsa probably has quite a lot of information. I read a little snippet of Harivamsa about, I think it was, I don't remember what pastime it was. It was a while ago. And it's quite explicit. It's also by Vedavyasa, his Vedavyas, who wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam, or who elucidated the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a compendium, actually, the Harivamsa, but it's extremely explicit to the point that, it's probably, I would say, as far as movie ratings, we all know movie ratings, it's like R or maybe NC-17, or, higher than that, the Harivamsa. So I'm not, reading the Harivamsa, I on some level, it's a little bit difficult because, I don't want to take anything cheaply. I don't want to misconstrue it. I don't want to, I definitely don't want to feel like, I'm getting higher knowledge because I'm reading this Harivamsa, and now I have a more of a license to, even in my internal life, to ruminate or try to, fill in the blanks, so to speak, with any of these pastimes. And I can say resoundingly that that's a real danger for all of us, and it's a danger in our movement because persons at the higher levels, they're very, very careful about what information they speak about. They're very thoughtful, and they're also very, very humble. They know where they're at, and they know where we're at. Even His Holiness Badri Narayan Swami, was giving the class the other day, and he really, he's a humble guy, and he really didn't want to go too much into anything that could cause anyone a disturbance, I'll say, about, what was the discussion. What to speak of others that were giving class. So, I could have, I read a little bit into the Harivamsa, and I got a little bit nervous because I didn't really want to start putting those things out there to everybody. I know where I'm at with my consciousness, and I try to be really realistic and err on the side of caution when I'm, reading or worshiping the deities, particularly. That's a real right place to be able to dive deep into so many things that maybe aren't prescribed right now. I still have a lot of time and work to do with my japa and with my own anarthas. So I don't want to jeopardize my future success in Krishna consciousness or my ability to remember Krishna in a proper way at the end of my life. I don't want to jeopardize those things by going off on tangents or going out into the ethers to try and piece things together for my own satisfaction. I feel like that's somewhat of a danger that, I'm sure some of you all have experienced. Maybe you hear a class and, something just is a little bit not right, or maybe a little bit explicit in a way that you've not heard. And, immediately that touches off, oh, I wonder where that was cited from. I wonder, because sometimes if you want to read more, and, obviously reading more is always a good idea. Learning more about Krishna's pastimes is always a good idea. Just doing those things kind of cautiously and with the state of mind that we must kind of fix ourselves in a position where we're safe. We're in a safe position where we can hear from those persons that are more realized, and we can trust, that whoever we're hearing from is actually a bona fide reciter of, and, they're bringing it to life, And there are those people in our movement. But realistically, I'm definitely not one of them. So we can understand this scene. I personally, the scene is like, for me, this scene of Balaram with his gopis and by the Jamuna and the sweet breezes of lotuses and Varuni, and they're drinking this divine liquor, and they're setting themselves up for, so many beautiful pastimes, right? So many things. And, what more can be said? There's sort of like, it's behind a curtain there. It's behind a little bit of a veil that, someday through our own hard work and our own purificatory activities and personal endeavor with our japa and our service to simply try to please the Lord, I mean, that's what's going on here. Balaram is simply trying to please his Lord. He's actually going above and beyond. Not that he's not having a good time trying to please Krishna, but he's there as Krishna's emissary. He's his stand-in. Balaram is not different than Krishna, except in color. He's self-same. They're like this. There's no difference. So he's Ananta Shesh. He's providing all these things, all these pastimes. He's creating this whole scene to give pleasure to Krishna's gopis, to be able to please Krishna with his endeavors. And he's not attached to that, Of course you can have a good time, but you can't really, we have to have a good time for a long time in the right frame of mind. We can't be that attached to specific thing, even if it feels good. We have to be a little bit detached from those things, because always calibrating to check in to see if this is what Krishna wants. What would my Gurudev say about me hearing this or doing this thing or speaking this? What would he say? That's knowing the manobishtam of our Guru, and we all have that opportunity to connect in that way with our Guru, who is, the spiritual master is Nityananda, Balaram, So he's the one that's driving all of this forward, driving all of the advancement and knowing how to please Krishna forward, the spiritual master, emanating from Sri Balaram. So I'm just going to stop there. I had a lot on my mind with this pastime, because it's very easy to sort of slip into this very rasika way of thinking. And that's okay if you do it privately. Just try to keep it in you, It's okay, but not everything that comes in someone's mind needs to go out into the ethers, go out for everybody to hear, or for the, all the world to hear. I think everybody's under that assumption. Everybody has a voice, but you got to use it wisely, and you got to speak the right thing and do it in a humble mood, because otherwise, what's the saying? If a fool No. Prabhupada said that that too, but he says you don't know who a fool is until they open their mouth. So we have to try to keep that in mind. And I'm mainly saying things to people on Facebook. Yes, Prabhu. Harivamsa is very explicit too. Well, you're a senior devotee, so I trust that you can make those judgments. But what I read in the Harivamsa was a little more explicit. I don't want to hear. Radha Golokananda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Dipan Kayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam
Sivata Vadashakanan Sivatam Sivata Vadashakanan Jasabalila Koilo Srinandanandan Srinanda Jasoda Jaya Jaya Gopagan Jasoda Jaya Jaya Gopagan Sridhamari Jaya Jaya Denuvatsagan Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kirtida Sundari Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Virnagari Jaya Jaya Gopishwara Vrindavanama Jaya Jaya Krishna Saka Bhatu Dvijarat Jaya Rama Gata Jaya Jaya Rohini Nandan Rama Gata Jaya Rohini Nandan Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Basi Jata Jan Jaya Dvija Patni Jaya Naga Kanyagan Bhakti Tejahara Pailo Govinda Charan Shirasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam Jaya Jaya Rasa Lila Sarvamanaram Jaya Jaya Jwala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sar Parakiya Bhave Jaha Brajete Prachar Shri Janava Pada Padma Koriya Smaran Dina Krishna Dasa Koe Nama Sankirtan Krishna Sankirtan Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radha Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Sham Jaya Radhe Sham Jaya Radhe Sham Jaya Radhe Sham Radhe Sham Jaya Radhe Sham Jaya Radhe Sham Jaya Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Shri Vrindavan Dham Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada All glories to Radha Krishna and the divine forest of Vrindavan. All glories to the three residing deities of Vrindavan, Sri Govinda, Gopinath, and Madana Mohan. All glories to Shamakunda, Radha Kunda, Govardhan Hill, and the Yamuna River, Kalindi. All glories to the great forest known as Mahavan. All glories to Keshigat, the Vamsivat tree, and the 12 forests of Vraja. At these places, the son of Nanda, Sri Krishna, performed all of his pastimes. All glories to Krishna's divine father and mother, Nanda and Yashoda. All glories to the cowherd boys headed by Sridham. All glories to the cows and calves of Raja. All glories to Radha's divine father and mother, Vrishabhanu, and the beautiful Kirtida. All glories to Purnamasi, the mother of Sandapani Muni. All glories to the young cowherd maidens of Raja. All glories to Gopishwar Shiva, who resides in Vrindavan in order to protect the holy Dham. All glories to Krishna's funny Brahmana friend, Madhu Mangala. All glories to Ramagya, where Lord Balaram performed his rasa dance. All glories to Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini. All glories to all of the residents of Vrindavan. All glories to the wives of the proud Vedic Brahmanas. All glories to the wives of the Kaliya serpent. Through pure devotion, they all obtained the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. All glories to the place where the rasa dance of Sri Krishna was performed. All glories to Radha and Shyam. All glories to the divine rasa dance, which is the most beautiful of all of Krishna's pastimes. All glories to the mellow of conjugal love, which is the most excellent of all rasas and is propagated in Braj by Sri Krishna in the form of the divine Parakiya Bhava. Remembering the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda's consort, Sri Janava Devi, this very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna sings the Sankirtan of the holy name. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Chaita Darpana Marjanam Baba Mahadavagni Nivapana Shreya Karaya Chandrika Vadavagi Jivana Nam Nam Akari Baudani Jasarva Shakti Tatrarpita Nimaita Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Nam Akari Baudani Jasarva Shakti Tatrarpita Nimaita Marane Makala Etadrishita Bhaktipa Gavan Mamapi Yudaiva Migrishami Hakarina
Rinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Abanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Ayinandantanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripaya Bhagavadvakaja Stita Tulis Tinjinjinharaya Nayanam Galarasrudaraya Madanam Bhagara Rudargira Pulakarni Chitam Bapukada Tava Namagane Bhavishyati Yugayitam Nimeshena Chakshusha Pravishayitam Sunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahena Me Asli Shava Paramurgantam Samam Adarshama Margar Guru Tuva Tatatala Nampato Matpranas Tu Saeva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of completed birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is a prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is a life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to really taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have